I'm Sarah, and I'm here with Liz. Our guest today is Becca Lucas from CalCAN. Becca, thank you and welcome. Can you please introduce yourself for our audience?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me here. My name is Becca Lucas, and I'm the Communications and Operations Coordinator with CalCAN, the California Climate and Agriculture Network. And we're a statewide coalition of organic and sustainable agriculture organizations that either work directly with or on behalf of farmers across the state. And we work to bring the voices of small and mid-scale producers to the table at any sort of climate policy discussion. So we've advocated for a number of different policies that have created programs that many of you might be familiar with, like the Healthy Soils program, which has been around for a couple of years, that provides both incentives directly to farmers and ranchers, as well as demonstration project grants for groups like UCCE or RCDs to work with farmers to create opportunities for farmers to learn about soil health building practices.
That's so awesome. Liz and I actually met working on a Healthy Soils demonstration project, so we're big fans of the program. In addition to what you've just shared, is there anything else about CalCAN's work that you'd like to share with our audience?
Yeah, so we do a lot of organizing between state legislators and their constituents. And so a lot of the work that we do in bringing these farmer voices to their representatives is organizing legislator education days or in-district meetings where a lot of farmers and ranchers who have received these grants or are, you know, huge proponents of different sort of climate smart ag practices can meet with their state representatives and say, I really support these practices and I really support the continued investment.
That's so important to just be the interface between the ag community and our legislators. So thank you so much for your work. In 2018, you conducted a adaption listening session with growers. Can you describe what those were and share some of the outcomes of these sessions? Specifically, what tools and resources did you find are most needed to be resilient in the face of climate change?
Yeah, so for about 3 months in the fall of 2018, we conducted 12 listening sessions with different groups, some with science and technical advisors, and then 9 different regional groups across the state with growers and different technical assistance providers. And the primary purpose of those sessions were to ask what farmers and ranchers were experiencing as a result of climate change across the state, and then what were the types of resources that they would need to meet those impacts. And there was a large range of not only RCDs that were represented, but different crop producers and ranchers across the state and other agriculture nonprofits. And we heard a lot of very interesting things, and I'm not gonna go really into the impacts because I'm sure all of you know them very well. But the primary most of the things can be understood as 3 different buckets. So having systems in place that can immediately respond to different climate disasters. So whether that's specific crop insurance or disaster resilience fund, something that can really support farmers as they face things like wildfires or impacts of drought or flood. The other bucket would be to develop and refine new adaptation strategies. So that's a lot more research, public plant breeding programs to understand which different varieties will be more resistant to heat in the future, what fruit and tree crops have lower chill hour needs, as well as marketing support to make sure that people know these different varieties exist and they're what we're going to be seeing a lot more of in the future. And then the last bucket I think is the most exciting because it's all the known solutions that we already have, and it's just the acceleration of adopting these solutions. So that is, you know, reinvesting in technical assistance across the state, making sure that there are those farmer-to-farmer learning support networks and demonstration days, direct investment in farmers and farms for these different practices. So similar to the Healthy Soils program, there was actually a specific comment that asked for a YouTube series. So look at that. That's exactly what's coming out of this. And there's some other really specific adaptation tools that exist in different parts of the country and are being developed for California. And as we learned, and as we know, impacts of climate change vary regionally, and they vary across different crops. And so in that same way, the strategies and the tools that we need also need to be regional and crop specific. So decision support tools for adaptation planning on the farm are really important. And there's a couple different prototypes right now that are in the process of trying to be scalable and more adaptable to the different regions and crops in California that would crunch weather predictions and data and be able to have like a 14-day warning if an early frost will hit or if heat is going to come, and what types of ways and with advanced notice that farmers can prepare so that you can mitigate both crop and profit losses associated with a lot of climate disasters.
Well, as a RCD, and I know probably speaking for a UC Ag Advisor, we're really into the third bucket issues that you work with. So you touched on a little bit your work with the Healthy Soils program, and we know that the state budget is not looking too good. What can growers and audience members do to ensure these programs continue, and how can individuals engage with the policy side of this work?
That is a great question, and we will let you know when we know. As I'm sure all of you, everyone is aware, this is not a normal year by any means, and legislative calendar, news, information, everything shifts on a daily basis. And so honestly, the best way to stay up to date is to sign up for our newsletter or our blogs, where we do put out these timely notices on legislative updates and different things that you can do to help support programs like the Healthy Soils program, or contact any one of us directly. So we'll let you know as we know, but also contacting not only us to tell your stories, but also your state legislators to, if you have had a Healthy Soils grant and you've had a positive experience with it, the other types of practices that you support in investing in farms as a solution to climate change is one of the most important things we can do. And to let any of the ag associations that you're part of know that you support the Healthy Soils program and that you want this to be a priority as we, recover from an impending recession, as we figure out a different way to mitigate the worsening impacts of climate change. We just need to make sure that Healthy Soils is at the forefront of that.
Becca, thanks so much. It's been so great to chat with you today. We've loved having you on our show. Is there anything else you'd like to add and share with our audience before we end our interview today?
The solutions are out there. We know a lot of what we need to do. We just need to prioritize it and invest in them.
Thank you.
Thank you.